Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear friends and colleagues, it's my great pleasure and honor to be with you tonight. Thanks to Albert Nutritional Company for inviting us to exchange information and experiences. It's the wrong shift. The story starts when we all allow the babies after 1 year old to take the regular unmodified milk. It's really a wrong shift, giving this difference between a healthy toddler or baby and another one who may have nutritional deficiencies because he was shifted from stage 2 to unmodified milk. Of course, we all promote the breastfeeding. So if you can promote breastfeeding till the end of the second year, this is a good achievement. But if the baby is on stage 2 and you are shifting him to the regular unmodified milk, this is what I said, wrong shift. My roadmap in the lecture will be on showing the differences between the human milk as a nutritional value versus the modified enriched formula or growing up formula versus the unmodified milk. And secondly, I'll discuss some special requirements for the growing toddler, and ending by how to meet these needs for the growth of a toddler with food and food supplements. Let's warm up with some MCQ questions, only 4 questions, just warming up for the purpose of the lecture. I will repeat it at the end, and I hope that you will easily answer these questions. The first one, the best indicator for nutritional status of a baby, which is food records, growth, 24 diet record, 24 hour, mental capabilities. What do you choose? Of the 4?
Mental capabilities.
Okay. Most health authorities recommend that solid foods should be introduced at what age? Is it 3 to 4 months, 2 months, 6 months, 4 to 6 months?
4 to 6.
At what age the introduction of fresh cow's milk, the unmodified milk, is allowed? I don't say that it's preferred or recommended, but it's allowed. At what age? Is it 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months?
18 months.
Allowed. Last question, if 1-year-old child wants to spoon feed himself clumsily, still his hands are not stable, so he's throwing up, spilling over the food on his clothes and on the carpets, and the mother is worried about the cleanliness of the baby and the home. So the best action is to let the child try, so he or she will learn. Gently take the spoon and give it yourself. By yourself, you give the spoon. When you use behavior modification technique, or let the child eat by his fingers and leave the spoon away. Okay. So we discussed the 4 questions at the end. It goes without saying that good nutrition is linked to child development. And nutrition status is very critical during the first 2 years of life, but up to 5 years of age. It's important for the physical and mental growth. That's to say, if there is an insult or a disease affecting a baby during the first 2 years of life, so it affects his nutrition, like chronic diarrhea, chronic vomiting, it may affect also his mental capabilities and his growth as brain. And expect that the outcomes of inadequate diets will be poor growth, poor cognition, ذكاء أقل, IQ بتاعه أقل, poor muscle development, reduced work capacity. What's the work of a baby? Is to play. So his capacity to play is less. High rates of illnesses, his immunity is less, and there is learning disabilities or learning difficulties and school difficulties. So, like Arab said, العقل السليم في الجسم السليم. The good brain is in a good body. So the health will be reflected on the mental capabilities or the mental development. 90% of the critical brain development will occur during the first 2,000 days, the first 5 years of life. During this, any insult to the nutrition, any insult by GI problems, gastrointestinal problems, during this period may affect his performance as a child in his school and in his life later on. It's really critical to feed the baby well, to avoid the diseases, for his mental capabilities to be an intelligent boy or girl. Breast milk versus bottle, only two slides. We all know that the breast milk or breastfeeding is the standard, and the bottle is only instituted when there is a contraindication or inability of the mother to breastfeed her baby. But we all know that the standard, the gold standard, is the breastfeeding. Look at these two towers. The big tower is for the breast milk, and the other one for the formula milk. The tower here is equal to the minerals, while all these tower in the formula are less utilized in the body than that of the breast milk. But above the tower, the growth factors, the anti-allergic, anti-parasites, antiviruses, hormones, antibodies are all present only in the breast milk. So we don't have a comparison between these. And we all promote the breastfeed. We insist, especially in the postnatal visit, when the mother just delivers the baby, insist to breastfeed. Insist her to try and try and try, because really it's like this small tower and this high one. These are some of the differences between the breast milk, the standard enriched formula, and the unmodified milk, which is the cow's milk, like the regular one, the one which is commercially available, and we allow it after 12 months of age, after 1 year of age. And you will find that, of course, the standard, the gold standard is the breast milk. I will compare only two items. Look at the protein. It's 0.9 grams per deciliter in the breast milk. Most of the standard milk are 1.4 grams, while it is in the unmodified 3.5 grams per deciliter. This is what we call, it's very much of a good thing. This is too much of a good thing. Protein is a good thing. But when you give it too much, it's linked to obesity and obesity-related diseases, atherosclerosis, diabetes type 2, and so on. So everything when it exceeded the requirements is not good. So we find that the optimum one is around 1 gram per deciliter, while it is in the unmodified 3.5, and in the model, in the middle of this, in the model of this, is the blocking up formula in between this. So when we shift the baby from the standard to the cow's milk, or from the breast milk when the mother is fed up or she is weak to feed the baby after 1 year, and we shift the baby to the unmodified one, we give too much of good things, but this will end up with obesity and obesity-related diseases. Look also to the iron absorption. We know that iron level is low in all types of milk, either the breast or the bottle. But look at the absorption. It's the best with the breast milk, it's worse with the standard, and it's terrible with the cow's milk. It's really terrible. And we also, when we give iron therapy for a baby or a child, we instruct the mother to avoid dairy products and milk while giving the iron. Make a space of at least 3 to 4 hours when you give iron therapy for a baby or a child. Should be including cereals containing iron, containing the milk, should be away from the iron. Look at this terrible and this better. So that's why I said that it's a wrong shift for financial causes sometimes. For whatever you say, okay, you are 1 year of age, you are allowed to take everything, honey, nuts, and everything, and including take the commercially available milk, and that time the baby will become nutritionally deficient and having too much of good things, which is not good. We know that growth slows somewhat during the toddler years, but nutrition is still top priority. The growth chart is a little bit plateau after the first year of life. If the birth weight is 3 kilograms, the baby will end up by 1 year around 10 kilograms. So increase during 1 year, the first year, 7 kilograms. While the ideal weight at 2 years of of age is 12. So increases from 10 to 12, 2 kilograms. So it's 7 versus 2. So there is some slowness of the growth curve after the first year of life. We know this, and that's why the appetite of the baby is a common complaint. He has bad appetite, he doesn't eat well, because the growth curve itself is slower than before. The scope of interest is not food. The first year of life, the baby lies on the breast, takes his food and sleeps. After 1 year of age, he starts to walk and to know the environment around and to vision this and to hear this. The food is not the main interest now. That's why the appetite is decreased after the first year of life. But still, as I said, the nutrition is a top priority for also the mental health, not only for the physical one. Breast milk, of course, and formula, the enriched one, were perfect for a child as an infant. But now, it's the time for a variety of foods. And between 1 and 2 years of age, the baby starts to eat table food with the parents and accept new tastes. But again, still he needs to milk. He needs to drink milk still in the second or the third year of life as a toddler. Proteins for the toddler is very important. I said it should be optimal because if it's high, it's too much of a good thing that it will lead to obesity and obesity-related diseases. The Institute of Medicine in America recommended that from 0 to 6 months, the baby should take 9.1 grams of protein per day. It's around 1.1 to 1.5. And again, 7 to 12, it's 11. It's again 1.1 to 1.5 grams per kg per day. The sources of dietary protein after 6 months of age will include, older than 6 months, will include strained or pureed meats. strained يعني by a fork, بنطحن أو بنضرب اللحوم. egg yolks, cooked legumes هو البقوليات, whole milk yogurt and cheese. Look, yogurt and cheese after 6 months of age. Because still some of the doctors say the milk and dairy products are forbidden before 1 year of age. The answer is no. The raw milk, the liquid milk, is not allowed before 1 year of age. But when you process the milk as cheese or yogurt, it's allowed after 6 months of age. This is a very good, important point that I want to relate to you. Between 1 and 3, still he needs the protein. But it's 13 grams, it's less now versus his weight, 13 grams. Between 1 and 3, he may become 15. So it's less than 1 gram per kilogram per day. The needs are less, and it's again in the soft meats like chicken, like fish, like meat, eggs, yogurt, legumes, cheese, a variety of foods should be offered for the baby. But till 3 years of age, still he likes the milk. It should be. To meet the iron requirements, it's very important because you know that iron deficiency is very common, even for adults. Very common to have iron deficient children and adults. And iron deficiency is not anemia anymore. Now iron deficiency is like a syndrome which leads to apathy, slow thinking, slow effort, low physical ability, in addition to tiredness and fatigue, and it's not anemia, it's now like a syndrome, having a lot of manifestations. If a child comes to you with a complaint of the mother of poor appetite, think of iron deficiency anemia. Of slow thinking or poor learning function during the school, think of iron deficiency anemia. It's one of the most important micronutrients that are needed for the development of the brain for a child. Toddlers need 7 milligrams of iron every day. The unmodified milk that we choose after 1 year of age as a rock shift is low in iron. The enriched formula is with added iron, but this one with no added. It's only milk. Toddlers drink a lot of cow's milk, so they become satisfied and they will not take the iron-rich food. Milk also decreases the absorption of iron. And that's why I said if you start a patient on iron therapy, instruct him to avoid taking the milk for 3 or 4 hours in conjunction or in addition to the iron therapy. Otherwise, it will not be absorbed. Milk will decrease. And lastly, iron deficiency can affect the blood and may lead to learning and behavior problems. Look at this one, the underlined irreversible. This is what's proved now by the clinical evidence. That when iron deficiency anemia causes cognitive disabilities, even ADHD, it will not be reversed again. And the child will not become normal even if you correct his iron. This damage is irreversible. Take care of the iron. Take care to check the iron status for the babies by 9 months of age, and serially if the babies are not taking the iron-rich foods like meats, because this is the most guaranteed foods for the iron is tissue meat and organ meat. If they don't take this, please check the iron. The recommendations in NHS, the National Health Services in the UK, is to do for all babies screening by CBC only complete blood counts at 9 months of age. If it's 11 or less, they start iron therapy. If it's above, they don't start. So his food is sufficient as an iron therapy or an iron source for him. Take care of this. So the expert advice is to limit drinking milk because it will make him satisfied and not taking his enough other foods. Serve more iron-rich foods. And as I said, the most guaranteed is the tissue meat and the organ meat. When serving iron-rich foods, add vitamin C, because vitamin C enhances absorption of iron. Why? Because iron is absorbed in our body in the ferrous status. If it's ferric, ascorbic acid, which is the vitamin C, will reduce it from ferric to ferrous, so it's absorbed. Many of the iron therapy available in our market, it's in the ferrous, so it's readily absorbed. But avoid to give milk with it. Continue serving iron fortified cereals till the age of 18 to 24 months of age. When we say that the cereals are allowed starting from 6 months of age, this is not a limit. Give cereals to older babies. Give me cereals. It's highly enriched. The others can take it. It's very tasty and nice. Feed your babies, and if there is something remaining in the dish, eat it yourself. Because really it's enriched with the iron and everything. So the cereals is not for babies, it's also for adults, if you like, or older children. Meeting the calcium requirements are very important. Toddlers need 700 milligrams of the calcium and 600 international units of vitamin D, the active form of vitamin D. This calcium need can be met by 2 servings of dairy products or milk, so it's easy to achieve. But these servings will give less than half of the required of vitamin D. So I do urge you, in the postnatal visit immediately after the baby visits you, immediately after delivery, start giving vitamin D drops. Don't wait. Before all the recommendations is to start the vitamin D by 4 months of age. We said before that there is enough stores for the vitamin D. This was proved to be nonsense, and now we should start it as soon as possible after birth. Immediately, within 2 weeks of birth, all babies should take vitamin D. You may ask me, is it only for the breastfed infants, not for the bottle? No, even for the bottle. Because theoretically speaking, if you want to give or to meet the requirements of vitamin D while the baby is taking bottle milk, he should consume 1.2 liters per day. This is impractical. Calculate how many mils the babies are taking per day. They need to take 1.2 liters per day to meet the requirements of vitamin D. So, give vitamin D either to the breastfed or the bottle fed. And I want to remind you that in Germany, they recommend what they call supraphysiological doses of vitamin D. They don't give 400, they don't give 600. They give 1,000 per day. And they extend the use of vitamin D till the age of 18 years. they consider this is the official age of the childhood. It's from 0 to 18 years of age. They still give the vitamin D till the child is 18 years of age, supplement with vitamin D, and see how the parents are always having the World Cup of football, and they are very strong in swimming and everything, and really they are very healthy, and they take care of this. And by the way, the one who returned back the recommendations of introduction of solid foods from 6 months to 4 months was the Minister of Health in Germany. So the excellent advice is to explore the calcium sources either in dairy products or in the juices and cereals, but again, don't forget vitamin D supplementation. I don't like if some doctors write for the babies vitamin D with calcium. As I said, 2 servings of milk or dairy products will be sufficient for the calcium. Don't give excess calcium because it will be precipitated as stones and may affect the baby later on. But he is in need for vitamin D, not for the calcium. Most toddlers are picky eaters. Like these 2 pictures, they don't like to eat. And they throw their heads away from the food. Most of the toddlers. Why? We said 3 reasons. They are interested in the environment. They are searching for something, and the vision and hearing are the main interest now, it's not the food. Number 2, they take a lot of milk, so they don't like to eat because they are satisfied. Number 3, sometimes they don't like the food you serve. The food you serve, it's not like for them, so they are picky eaters. Most of the toddlers are like this. If we start the story from the beginning, this is the American Academy Guidelines 2013, while it's in Germany since 2007, is to introduce the supplementary foods while the mother is still breastfeeding, not before the infant is 17 weeks of age. If you calculate this 17 weeks, it's 4 months. So again, 4 to 6 months, don't be late. We shouldn't held back. We shouldn't be held back and saying still 6 months. Not allowed before 6 months. No, it's 4 to 6 months. This is American Academy 2013. They are held back from Germany by 6 years. But now, if you check in the net, the guidelines, Australian guidelines, English guidelines, the American guidelines, Canadian guidelines, it's to introduce the solid food between 4 and 6 months, not to wait until 6 months. This is the start or the beginning of the story. However, nearly all toddlers would be described as picky eaters, as I said, for the 3 reasons. But if the kids don't like a food, don't force, they will never like it. I always say if the baby, I was with the mother, if the baby rejects something, postpone it. At least for 1 week and try again. Sometimes for 1 month and try again. Don't force, he will vomit. If they say no, it's no. Don't force for this. On the other hand, when the infant likes something, stuck to one food, the mother repeats this until the baby gives up and refuses this. هو اكتشفت ان ابنها بيحب البيض، كل يوم بيض 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 لغايه ما يكره البيض ويبطل خالص. ليه؟ لان احنا اخترنا single ingredient. If we give varieties of foods, so we choose this and this and this. فالامهات ساعات تبقى فرحانه، هو حب البيض تفضل بقى ماسكه في الحاجه اللي هو حبها لغايه ما يزهق منها ويكرهها، يسمى دول زي ما انتم عارفين. فتفضل بقى serve this food every day, eventually the child may reject that food. هو كان بيحبه لان كرهه. The expert advice is to present a variety of healthy foods, not one. And kids are naturally slow to accept the new tastes and new textures, القوام بتاع الأكل. So be patient. You might be give up and they shout with the baby and they scream. وتقول يا ما نمتش وعمال اعيط وعمل مش عارف انه مش راضي ياكل وكده. هي الموضوع عايز صبر وعايز سياسه وعايز انها تغير نفسها. تغير الاكل، مش لازم ان هو بيعجبها هي يبقى لازم يعجب اولادها، لازم هي تحاول انها تغير في الحاجات. But eventually, at the end of the day, the baby may surprise the parents one day that he accepts everything and he eats very well. And this is a common story we face in our clinics. لا الدكتور دلوقتي بقى ممتاز وياكل والله فعلا الوزن زاد بقى كويس، لا هو تقبل وياكل بالصبر. فهم بيك ايترز عايزه سياسه شويه، ومن ضمنها السبون فيد اللي احنا كنا قلنا دي ديمقراطي، هو يوقع على نفسه خلاص، خايف على الكارت شيل الكارت شيليها، بس يسيبه ياكل بايده ويوسخ نفسه، يحاول لانه كده he likes to be independent. So let him to be independent and to do something by himself. Is the time for answers of the 4 questions? The best indicator is growth. And this is one of my key messages. If you have a baby with chronic vomiting, chronic diarrhea, and the mother saying that he doesn't eat well, but the growth chart is going up, so it's an indicator that he is in a good health, he is a healthy baby. Secondly, most health authorities now on 4 to 6 months of age to start the solid foods. The third one, the fresh milk is allowed starting from 12 months of age while it's around shift. The fourth and the last, let the child to try so he or she will learn. Be democratic with your kids. Let them to try even if they spill over the food on the grounds and on the grounds, because this is the only way they would like to feed themselves and to take the food. And also they will take the independence and the self-confidence. My key message is in one slide. Toddlers 1 to 3 years of age still need the milk as an important component of their daily needs. Of course, the breastfeeding is the gold standard. But if you are going to shift from the breast milk of the stage 2 by 1 year of age, go to the growing up formula, GUF, growing up formulas, because this is not only a milk, it's a milk enriched and supplemented with a lot of macro and micro elements in a proper proportions, so the baby will not get sick and not get weaker later on. Last but not the least, this will be in addition to a healthy foods, not only the milk, it will be in addition to healthy foods served to our growing kids. And thank you very much. Any question or comment? I think it's a common practice and we all practice this every day. And we see it in our clinic.
What about other vitamins, A, B, C, unmodified or?
Yeah, they are present. They are present, especially the fat-soluble vitamins. The water-soluble vitamins are less than the breast milk, but they are there. The idea of what we call humanized milk or modified milk, that they by one means or about another means, they adjust the proportion to be near, not equal, but near to the human milk. But they are less. They are less and less utilized also. Less digestible, less absorbed if it comes from the cow's milk, either the bleached one or the unmodified. And we always say that milk is a species specific. The cow's milk is for cows, human milk is for humans. So it's a species specific. And when we try to shift the species to another, so we do a lot of adjustments and additions and deletions until we come only near to the breastfeeding. But we cannot. It's the gold standard. Question or comment? Oh.
Some children, Dr. Mustapha, at age of 6, 7, 8 months, suddenly refuse to take the butter. They are artificially fed. I faced this problem many, and I cannot find an explanation for this situation and how can we solve this problem. The baby refused butter abruptly. Did you face such problems?
Yes, I faced. This is a common phenomenon that we have a baby who is fed up from either the breast milk or the bottle milk at one point. That point, that 6 to 8 months is the age of food. Sometimes he is interested in the food. What they assure the mothers is the baby now is taking meals. He's taking now yogurt, cheese, he's taking boiled vegetables, boiled chickens, and so on. So when I face such a problem, and I cannot solve by adjusting the amount, sometimes the mothers follow what's written in the tin. The tin sometimes say, when he's 6 months, give 8 scoops on 240 and so on. But the baby cannot consume all this stuff. So the mother thinks that he doesn't take. He takes. But what I suggest when the baby has this, first of all, I said to her, it's okay if the baby takes 3 breastfeeding or bottle feedings plus 3 meals. And if this meal is taken for some time and left, you can cook it for him. Make it as yogurt. Make it as dairy product. The rest of the milk you have, you make it as yogurt or as هالة or whatever. So the baby will take this portion as a meal if he doesn't like the bottle itself. وفعلا احنا لاحظنا امهات تقول انه مش بياخدها الا وهو نايم، يعني ياخد البوتل بس وهو نايم، لو صحي مش بيرضى ياخد البوتل. فعلا بتحصل كتير وبنشوفها، ساعات بتبقى ريليتد كمان للبين اوف تيثنج لما بيكون البيبي يعني شويه irritable مع بدايه التيثنج. و sometimes I give paracetamol drops like adult drops or whatever before the feeding by 1 hour and child. It helps some of the mothers to feed their babies. But I say to her, if he doesn't finish the bottle, okay, so turn it to one of the dairy products, to yogurt or whatever, so he will take his portion in the form of a meal if he likes this more than okay. But thank you for that intelligent question. Any other comment or question? We became hypoglycemic, so it's the end. Thank you very much.